So our first patient here, it will need 2 new ABS sensors since they both snapped when I was trying to remove them from the hub. But the rust jacking was evident, and it is a lot cheaper than replacing both hubs in terms of labor and parts. So the sensor like 60 bucks a piece, so no big deal. We'll get this taken care of. On to our next ABS issue. So let's get in here, plug in the scan tool, see what codes we have, and then take it for a spin. Well, unexpected issue here. Plug in our scan tool, and there's no power. This thing doesn't have a battery, and it's supposed to show a, power symbol. So let's check pin 16 for power. I suspect we won't have any. Let's see. Nope. Well, before we can pull any codes, we obviously have to figure out why we have no power, or we can go grab the Varus and see, but let's, I guess, pull a wiring diagram and see where this DLC connector gets its power from. Maybe check some fuses. Here we are at BBB Industries, looking at some wiring diagrams for the S10. And I found here the DLC, see pin 16, gets its power from the fuse 2 cigar 15 amp, and that's in the fuse block under the instrument panel. Alright, so let's check out fuse 2, see if we have power there. Alright, at the fuse panel box, pop that guy off. Fuse number 2, 15 amps. Alright, let's see if we got power there. Key is on. Test light's grounded. Test light definitely works. You see no power there. You got power there. No power there. Alright. So looks like a blown fuse at this point, but we have to check for shorts to ground. If you pop another fuse in there and it'll pop it, but let's replace it and go from there. Before trying to put in a new fuse, I installed a little fuse buddy tool to actually check for a short to ground with my test light. So you see we do have power here, that's good. And let's hook up the test light to power now to this terminal. Alright. And see if we have a short to ground. We have a dim light, and that's because our scan tool is trying to turn on. Let's unplug that. Do that again. Alright, we have no shorts to ground, so maybe that fuse is blown by an accessory at one point. So I feel confident putting a new fuse in there and now scan for codes. Alright, popping in a new 15 amp fuse. Mini style there. Plug in our scan tool. Alright, got power. Sweet. Alright, let's see what codes we come up with now. This spot on the screen is going to get worn out. GM every day. Alright, automated diagnostics. Let's see if we can identify this 2001. Nice. S10. Alright. So we do have a check engine light right now on the dash. Keys on. Let's see what we have for engine codes. Evap leak, of course. The good old P0442. Well, I don't think we're gonna worry about that for now. Maybe give us a chance to try out the new smoke machine. But we are after the ABS. It's 4-way anti-lock brake 3 sensor. Okay. Let's see if any codes we have. Current codes. Oh, no codes currently. Okay. What about history codes? Stop lamp switch circuit and left front wheel speed signal erratic. Alright, save those. Let's take it for a spin just like we did with the Yukon and look at our wheel speeds. Alright, looking at our wheel speeds here. See the left front? It's kind of jumping around. 5, 3, 4, 2. There goes 4 again. So it is erratic. It's not missing and it's not dropping out. 3, 2, 11. Did you see that? It jumped up to 11 for a second there. 7. Alright, this is interesting. So I don't suspect... Oh, there goes the ABS. I don't suspect rust jacking in this one. My suspicions are either a loose wire breaking contact, or a tone ring that's, I've seen this before, that's cracked and the signal is just, getting messed up with that one tooth. So let's bring it back to the shop and hook up the scope, spin the wheel, see what the signal looks like. So first thing we want to do here is hook up to our ABS sensor connector, which popped out. It's right here, and the ground on the scope is on a brake line. So first we'll check for a bias voltage with the key on both wires, and this is a VRS type sensor, so it does produce its own AC voltage. And then we'll plug the scope across those two terminals and spin the wheel and just see if we see any irregularities in the signal. So here's our favorite verse. Let's hook up the scope multimeter. 2-second screen's fine for now. And let's change our scales so we can see, the bias voltage is going to be like 2.5 volts. So that should be okay. Turn the key on. Alright. Now let's back probe the two wires here and look at our signal. Okay, what do we see? 0.5. Okay, so on the white wire we see 0.5 volts live, and on our black wire we see 0. Let's see, is that a good contact? You do the wire jiggle test. That's not connected, and when it makes a contact, so that's our live number. That's the black wire. Alright, so on our white wire now, let's connect our ground. Connect our ground now to the other sensor wire. And focus you back on the scope. Where's our signal? There you go. That's connected for sure. Alright, spin the wheel, see what happens. So there's a signal dropping out. The tone ring looks good. See, it's nice and even. So now let's wiggle the wire. There you go. What was that? Do we find a problem? Focus you over here. So I'm wiggling the wire right at the sensor. That should not be happening. Wiggle the wire at my right here, it's fine. Wiggle the wire right here. Start seeing funky signal. Boom. Look at that. No wonder the ABS is confused. So even if it is a wiring problem, it does need a new sensor. I'm going to try to pinpoint it, see if it's, you know, maybe an easy one, but the visual inspection shows that there are no obvious breaks in the insulation, so it might just be internal break. Alright, there you go. Value of a scope. Well, after a little experimentation, I found the culprit. See the black wire? I pulled it right out of the insulation, so it was broken right in here where it bends around this bracket right here. So I think what we're going to do is just cut this open, solder it up, shrink wrap it back together. I mean, I don't even want to take all this mess apart, put in a new sensor, because, and you know, these people don't have the most money, so we'll just give them the cheap fix and it should be good to go. Here's the wire cleaned up. I did have to cut a section of it out since I guess the insulation got damaged and it did corrode a ways down, so you can see it's shorter now. So in this case, we could either solder in a section of wire or use one of these quick connectors that have the heat shrink casing around them. This might actually be a better fix, since it'll extend the wire a little bit and provide a watertight seal, so everything will be happy in there. And then we'll just wrap this whole thing in electrical tape and call it a day. I got this thing toasted on here with a lighter. You can see the glue actually coming out of the ends, which is pretty cool. Kind of a snotty epoxy thing. Ooh, it's hot. But yeah, that looks pretty good. I mean, Maybe not better than shrink wrap, but let me wrap this up and we'll redo our scope test. Alright, we got our scope hook backed up. Let's do the wiggle test. That's just me at the connector. Let's spin the wheel. Alright, so we can actually see the bias voltage there. So 0.28 with the key on. Alright, spin the wheel. The hub rather. Beautiful. It's a nice clean signal. About 0 to 0.6 volts. Again, check our work. Wiggle the wires at the sensor, at the connector. Looks beautiful. Last check. Let's get the scan tool out. Just make sure we're still reading the correct wheel speed. So, scan tool. So we're looking at left front wheel speed. So all three there. Well, we zoom out, take a look at both. I don't know if we can see both at the same time. Alright, here we go. We got up to 4 miles per hour there. No issues, so let's take it for a spin and verify the repair. Thanks for watching.